Yeah, sure, I'll tackle it, Kill Agent. You would have to know a few things about my rip, what I'm staying on for the day. I'm gonna kick it in here. I haven't really been putting too much today in on the work. What was the other couple of days? A lot of music. I kick them on here, getting coffee, let them play through. That's my day. There's no reason I can't have that in my shopping cart. Obviously, you're not seeing any yoga ladies inside of here, and if you do, it pops up on the pin accordingly. Sometimes I just want to take 5 minutes and think about boobies instead of some other brother's asshole, honestly, and that's what clears it out for me. Um, Good way to do it. I'd mind the contract that you're wearing. Variance on that. Is she cool with it or not? I don't know. I don't want to be a problem. Have it. I'll tell her later. At any rate, that's what the SCP transmitting parasite's all about inside of here. That I am transmitting some level of a secure containment. I'm time stamping. It doesn't necessarily have the time, but there would be a time that I clicked on it, and you would have to figure that out. Little work YouTube could do.
Attention.
Well, things we could do on there. Oh, I did like a 28-minute video. I do this, but can you imagine doing something like this, or how you wanted to begin out the containment procedures of something that sounds like this? Talking to the screen, anthropomorphic, crazy with the kill agents, trying to simulate the sprites and I like him. He's good. He's a guy. He's got good stuff. But I didn't necessarily catch it on the Darwinism experiment. You got a local ring. Postmaster's not here. You don't have the other features of what's necessary to truly do your arborization. They're the census. If they're not here, and I have any kind of mass defects difference between and you'll get a lot of that. Now, this is all going to chatter amongst the wizards when we're all banging it out in the ether out here, but it really does a good job to hone your skills. Hopefully, here you've seen I touched on some of the issues. I remembered it, but realistically, I don't need to stay here for the 9 minutes it's going to take to do this when I feel I got that off of there. These guys are just politicians. They're paid to be in here. Plumbers are going to go on to this job and do the next one, but it is a time dependent operator based on what it would take to census that area again. What is our local postmaster considering a percentage of the social security checks, not to necessarily say itemized name at this point in time, but a given idea for the luxes of the standard, which is kind of like electricity in the some kind of scope. I hear Bucky Beaver talking about, or Wet Beaver Energy talking about. They do the analog variants of that type of scope, and it does frequency, voltage, and amperage. I think they all got to line up ish, but one of them as a gauge doesn't do a good job explaining it. It's just a lux. It's not necessarily a Kelvin temperature range of those systems, but as a number, it works as a more general base. As long as it'll attractor force through those, it's not going to chop around until you get a little tighter with the fast Fourier transform. And then maybe you can argue, well, that's a prime but that's a complex conjugative. That's what is it? A convolution, astrocus here, next to the name, above the letter 8, star. And you got to use them in that way. That's how coding works. That's how Hello World works. That's how when you're actually coding and you need an ampersand inside of there, you got to have that. And the semicolons, things like that work the same way too. Yeah, prattling on. You do. You build them out like your 15-minute book. Here, you chop these up because you're very focused on a set like that. And again, this is just the universe at large. Many people do. Should have been something that you heard in this one back here about getting one of those ketters on the sites to actually do the poetry or to do the models and being affected some way in the dark matter by 79 in general. Maybe the site's starting to get an issue like that. Maybe it's an aspect of that doesn't necessarily mean we need to adjust back over to that. I'm sure there is some calculation in there about why the songs and the poetry aren't coming the way they do when you just passively sit somebody down and start asking them questions and have an interview with them. Now, realistically, again, we got some other videos in here, but that was my note.